here and the music we're about to sing. Have a little faith.
Take a little seedling and we plant it in the ground. With a hope and a prayer, it'll grow up strong. Faith that the future will someday come along. We try to believe in believing and to have a little faith in the world. Faith in the world. Have a little faith in the world. Have a little faith in the world. Faith in the world. Have a little faith in the world. We do a little dreaming and we plant it in our hearts. With a little bit of love it'll grow each day. Wanting our children to never be afraid. Is there a better dream worth dreaming? And to have a little faith in the world. Faith in the world. Have a little faith in the world. Have a little faith in the world. Faith in the world. Have a little faith in the world.
Okay, I'm going to laugh if whoever's supposed to be chairperson forgot. Oh. Well, first of all, let's welcome Cindy back. She's been gone for 3 months. Yay, Cindy!
Cindy!
Woohoo!
Surprise. A little confusion, but Spirit's in charge and all is well, right? So, what inspires you? I've given it some thought to being inspired. What does that really mean? To take it in, inspire, or to really feel wonderful, like, wow, inspired, inspiration. One of the most inspiration parts of the Bible for me is that part that's often used in weddings that refers to the greatest of these is love. And that really inspires me a lot. So I'd like for you to think of what, whether it's something religious or something that is not, what makes you feel inspired? And I think that's why we're here in many ways today, and I'd say throughout the week too, is to be inspired, because when we're inspired, we're fed spiritually, and we go forth in a different frame of mind than we do if we're simply encountering the world as it presents itself to us. Or are we encountering the world as we present ourselves to it? And I think inspiration can do that for us. And so I encourage each of us to think of what really inspires you to be at your best. That, I think, is something that we get from being here together in community. And I think it's something we get when we're on our own, reading, meditating, contemplating, realizing that Spirit is in charge, really, not ourselves. and we can be inspired to carry on because we are centered in that truth. So with that inspiration, hopefully, within you to continue on, knowing that Spirit is appearing as you in every moment that you're here, every breath that you take. So let us move on with that in mind. And together, let us recite the vision that we all hold together: a world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. And our mission together: advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. And our values together: abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. And we celebrate our children with this affirmation together: Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. And the word today from the Daily Word is forgive. My soft heart expresses love as I forgive. Holding on to hurt caused by someone's words or actions is harmful to mental, physical, and emotional health. If I stew over these negative feelings, it's likely I will feel worse. It is when I am willing to let go of these troubling emotions that the healing begins. Forgiveness is healing. Realizing the slight may have been unintentional, or the one who hurt me may be unaware of my pain, I feel compassion. I let go by repeating the words, I forgive you, silently to myself, which helps me speak these words aloud when I am able. If I have caused unintentional harm, I ask for forgiveness. Through divine love, I forgive and am forgiven. As I express this love, I mend feelings and open the way to peace and harmony. And from the Gospel of Luke, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Let us recite together the words at the top. Forgive. My soul's heart expresses love as I forgive.
So we are just so impressed with all of you this morning because we were kind of taking bets. The idea was that there would be more of us here running tech and singing than there would be people in the room this morning. So thank you so much for being here. It goes to show how important you are. Amy, I'm like, Amy, you guys came all the way from, she's like, we have an almost perfect attendance streak. And I'm like, well, all right, that is excellent. So last night I had to email Reverend Evin and say, okay, we might not have church. And then this morning I had to email Reverend Evin and say, we're good for church. So we're happy to see him, happy that he's here looking all handsome and, ooh, bigger beard and everything going on, all stylish. So we are always so happy to have this gentleman speak to us. And we all know who he is. So please welcome Reverend Evin Wilkins.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. The beard kind of comes and goes. It just kind of depends on how I feel every day when I look at it, you know, how scraggly it looks. But anyway, thanks for having me again. Yeah, Faith, your message, Faith's email kind of made me laugh a little bit because this morning she's like, hey, you know, church is on. And last week, I'm in Washington State, in case, you know, for anybody who doesn't know that. But last week, they were talking about, I think it was like Wednesday night, they said, we are going to have the storm of the century potentially because we have a cold front coming in. There's going to be large hailstones, possible tornadoes. You know, coming from Texas, we don't play when we hear that there's going to be large hailstones. So like at our house, our garage is a small one-house garage. And we have more junk in there than we should have, I'll admit. So I cleaned out part of it, was able to get the car partway in, and then I covered the rest with like egg crate. I mean, I was getting ready. Go outside when the storm is supposed to be happening. It was typical, regular Pacific Northwest rain. And everybody's like, what happened to the storm? It was funny. Anyway, if you looked on Facebook groups, people were like, what do we do to protect our cars? And because you just don't get that kind of weather out here typically. So anyway, it turned out to be a big to-do about nothing. So anyway, I'm glad that's what happened with your ice storm last night too. I was kind of watching the news a little bit, but I figured y'all were kind of used to that too. So, but speaking of cold weather, just to kind of get into the Sunday service, speaking of cold weather, you know, I would imagine that a lot of you there during the cold times of year have something you do indoors. You know, maybe it's something you create, maybe you knit, maybe you paint, maybe you write, something to keep yourselves busy, right? But whenever you do this, have you ever first imagined the end of what it's going to look like? Probably so, because typically when we create, we first see the end result. You know, we pick up our tools or whatever we're using to create, we begin to work. You know, it's almost like we work backwards in a way. You know, we likely see the end result in our mind, so we set out to create whatever that is that we saw. Now I'm going to ask you to think much, much larger this morning. You know, what if, just what if you've already seen the end result of everything that's going on right now in current events in our lives? What if you've already seen the end result of every single thing that's happening right now? You know, perhaps even those things that we don't want to see in our lives, right? You know, the end of the things that we may be seeing in the news and current events or just anything really. You know, what if on a spiritual level you have already seen how those things end? What if prior to entering this incarnation you pointed at this time and said, that's it. That is when I want to be there, because you saw the end and you saw that it was good. This thinking's a little deep for me probably this morning. It's only 8:15 a.m. on a Sunday morning, so bear with me. I've only had one cup of coffee. But, you know, I've often wished for certain times in my life to just be over, you know, to move on to something different, maybe to a new phase or something like that. But on a spiritual level, I think about it because I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be at any given time during my life, even if it doesn't feel like it. Because I know at some point I saw the end result, I saw that it was good, and I said, that time right there, that is exactly where I want to be. Now, the things we're going to talk about today can be applicable with anything in our lives. You know, maybe for you right now it is current events. You know, maybe you're in mourning. Maybe there's disease of the body. You know, it could be anything really. But I feel that you can use these tools to help you navigate any path you may find yourself on at any time during your life. So one I really want to talk about that I don't think we often give enough credit to is our imagination. Now, if you're familiar with the Unity 12 powers, you'll probably know that imagination is one of our 12 powers here at Unity. And I think I think even I think once we enter into adulthood, we start to think about our imagination. And we'll find ourselves daydreaming, but then we're like, that's just kind of a silly daydream, or I've got my head in the clouds, or we just kind of write it off in a way, right? I remember reading and studying the Bible as a kid. I grew up in a Baptist house and we read and studied the Bible, excuse me, and we took it very literally. So I'd get jealous sometimes when I read stories about God. And you could substitute whatever words you use for God, whether it's source. But at that time it was God. There was no source or anything like that. That was blasphemous. But I remember reading stories about God and how God was said to literally speak to people. Like they would hear this booming voice in the clouds. People would talk about how they would have conversations with God and they'd learn exactly what it was they were supposed to do with everything in their lives and what would happen if they did or didn't do it. It took the guessing game completely out of the equation. It's like they had their own crystal ball, their own reliable crystal ball that was right there, for the taking. And I used to read about this and I used to think, how much easier it would be if this God would just do the same with me. But then you read later in the Bible about how God just pretty much goes radio silent. The people later on in the Bible, they don't have this God that's talking to them anymore, at least with this audible voice, and the guessing games began. But I asked myself, is God really radio silent? And as I grew into adulthood, I began to learn about God in a different way. About how I'm really a part of this God rather than this source that exists as a being outside of myself. So is God truly silent? Is God ever really silent? How can something I am a part of ever truly be silent? How can something that lives within me as part of this spirit within that inhabits this body ever truly be silent? Well, the answer is that it's not. One of the ways it chooses to communicate is one of the most beautiful ways possible, and that is through our imagination. Through that place where we dream, not just at night, but also those daydreams, those random daydreams that come to us during the day. Those dreams when we dream about where we want to go, what we want to be, what we want to do here in this lifetime, how we want each and every scenario to play out. We just have to be willing to sit up and to pay attention. And one of the ways we do that is to envision what we want to see. And we do this often by seeing the end result. Now, the biblical verse from Romans 4:17 says, "As it is written, I have made you the father of many nations, in the presence of the God in whom she or he believed, who gives life to the dead and calls into existence the things that do not exist." In his book, Wishes Fulfilled, Dr. Wayne Dyer says, when I place something into my imagination, it is already a fact for me. And that's a very powerful statement. He used that a lot in his life. He talks about how he created the book cover for his book, Wishes Fulfilled, before it was even halfway done, because he knew it would be done. He knew that book would be written. Also, Dr. Wayne Dyer, he wasn't born on stages and he wasn't born inspiring audiences all over the world as from, childhood on. He began as an adult, and it started by him envisioning himself doing these things. We have to start living from the end. And when I say that, I don't mean living sometime off in the future and living out of this present moment. It means much like looking at a map or like a GPS. We must have our endpoint in mind. Otherwise, we really don't know how to chart the course. You usually don't set out on the road without your destination in mind, right? You're like, okay, I have to go to the grocery store, or I'm driving to, Madison or wherever. But you usually know where you're going to go. You just have to navigate your car along the roads that will get you there. And we also must be willing to move beyond what our five senses are telling us. Because when we do this, this moves us more into the spiritual realm of things and more into a place of trust. even though we might not be able to physically see it yet. Now, Dr. Dyer says, he says, the outer world is always changing, which by our previous definition means it is not real. This awareness could lead you to experiencing a majestic wake-up call right here and right now. And this is the way it is with where we are today. With anything we are currently navigating through, we must know what we want to see at the end. But first, we must chart the course. And it also requires, as you may have guessed, just a little bit of work to get there. Dr. Dyer envisioned his book being finished, but it would not have happened if he had not picked up the pen and paper and actually written the book. And we have to trust. We have to have faith despite whatever it is our five senses are telling us. Dr. Dyer tells the story of Anita, a friend of his. He talked about how she was lying on her deathbed and her body was riddled with sickness at that time. And she would talk about while she was in that state, she entered into what he and others have often referred to as an NDE, which is a near-death experience. And Anita talked about how she crossed over into this other dimension. And she said it was one in which she was immersed in love. And she mentioned how there was such clarity when she was there. She said there was clarity for her illness and clarity as to why she and we are here in this life. She said she saw her part on a much grander scale than what she could see when she was in her body, when living from her five senses, because that's what we often do in the body. And Dr. Dyer says, he says, Anita was shown that everything going on in our lives is dependent on this energy around us and created by us. Nothing is solid. We are the creators of our surroundings and life conditions depending on how we use this energy. Anita further reported, she said, I realized that if I went back, it would be with a very healthy energy. Then the physical body would catch up to the energetic conditions very quickly and permanently. I was given the understanding that this applies to anything, not only illness. Anita returned to her body and 4 days later found herself to be completely cancer-free. So we've got to remember that there is so much more going on around us than what we can physically see. Again, it's moving beyond our five senses. And I'll give a little bit of a personal story where I kind of played around with this energy. I've got this book on money and manifestations, and I'll be happy to share it. I just don't have the book right in front of me right now, so I can't remember the name, but I'll be happy to send that over if y'all are interested. But it gives like little exercises where you think of something small you want to happen in your life. You don't want to say, hey, I want a brand new Ferrari or whatever. You start with small things, and you confirm it to be true within like 48 hours. So I'm into paranormal investigations, if you don't already know that about me. So I was like, I would like to go on a good paranormal investigation. So I'm going to manifest that I get invited to a paranormal investigation within 48 hours. So I kind of threw it out there, and I would kind of think about it throughout the day. And sure enough, a friend of mine, a fellow Unity minister, actually calls me later on that day, and she's like, hey, Evan, you're not going to believe it. I had a paranormal experience in my house, and I would love for you to come investigate it. And it just kind of, it's like I expected it, but it still just kind of blew me away. Now, she lives in San Diego, so I wasn't really going to get to just go directly to it. But I wasn't that specific. I just asked to be invited on a paranormal investigation, and I was. So that's how it works, when we get into the flow and we trust that that energy is going to happen and move around us. But it also applies to how we allow ourselves to feel. Has anybody in the room at all, and you don't have to raise your hand, but has anybody or at home experienced some feeling of hopelessness with an event in your life? I think we all have, right? I know I have. I've let myself get down in the weeds at times with certain things that are happening. Even lately for myself, I look around at current events and I see a lot of things that really eat at me because they are so out of alignment with our teachings here at Unity. I look around and I just see cruelty happening at unimaginable levels that I never thought I would see. I see the stoking of violence. And I go on social media sometimes and I vent there. I talk to Mindy, my wife, and my friends about it because it's good, obviously, to get it off your chest, right? When something is bothering us, it's good to talk to people and to get it off our chest. But we also have to remember that the way we feel plays a pretty big part in bringing forth with what we want to see in our lives and in the world as a whole. Dr. Dwyer quotes Neville in relation to this. He says, "May your future dream a present fact. May your future dream," I don't think I wrote that down right. "May your future dream be a present fact by assuming the feelings of the wishes fulfilled." So let's just say, as an example, you want to get healthy. Like, you're not eating right. You're like, oh, if I ate right, maybe I could lose weight, I would feel better, whatever the case may be. And you know that getting healthier requires eating a healthier diet and doing some exercises. Yet in the back of your mind, you're telling yourself, you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever lose weight. I don't know if I'll ever feel better. I don't know if I can ever eat completely right. You don't feel that you will ever have a healthier body. What do you think is going to happen when you feel that way? It's likely going to be very difficult to move into that healthy state that you want to be in. So remember, starting from the end. You have to visualize yourself that healthier person that you want to be. Then you have to feel yourself as that healthier person. What will you be able to do once you begin to feel healthy? What physical things are you going to be able to do that you weren't able to do before? Maybe you think about running a marathon. Visualize yourself at the end of that. You're running across the finish line. People are cheering. You feel as if you're on top of the world. And how does that make you feel? You already are that healthier person. The five senses, the material world, just needs to catch up. Because your consciousness is already ready. It's just waiting for you to catch up. And it's this way with current events and everything that's going on around us. It's not really so different. Although it doesn't feel like it in this moment, and sometimes I have to remind myself, we've got this amazing opportunity right now in front of us. And some of us may be waiting for things we don't want to be over. But maybe going through all of it is a part of living from the end. Consciousness is starting to shift. We've got more people now more than ever that are moving to belief in a God and a source outside of the Bible. And getting to know a version of that source that is likely far different than one manufactured by people for fear reasons or for dishonesty, whatever the case may be. We've got this chance, we've got this amazing opportunity to move to a God, to a source outside of this manufactured version. We've got this chance to be a part of ushering in this new spiritual evolution. We may look around us and see what we think is, a time we'd like to forget. And I do the same thing, but when I catch myself, I ask why. Why would I want to forget this? Whether it's a good experience or a not so good experience, why would I want to forget this? Because I said yes to being here. And there had to be a reason. I had to have once seen the end result. That is why I chose to be here. That is why I chose to be here to help shift this consciousness. This is the time when we get to truly practice unity principles. We hear about them, but this is the time when we get to take them and actually put them into practice. This is it. There's no better time than the present. Right here and right now. Now, Dr. Dyer mentions choosing to feel good. Notice he said choosing. He didn't say hoping to feel good. He said choosing. That places the ball back into our own court. It actually places the ball back into our own hands, right? Dr. Dyer tells the story of Swami and how Swami would greet each person as they entered his ashram. He would then ask them, do you know the difference between feeling good and feeling God? If the person shook their head, he would form a circle with his thumb and forefinger indicating 0, meaning that there is absolutely no difference between the two, because God and good are one. Remember Genesis 1:1 of the Torah. says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then a few lines later in Genesis 1:31, then God saw everything that it had made, and indeed it was very good. So God and good are one, meaning that when we choose, there's that word again, we are choosing to feel in alignment with our higher self. The oneness that is, as Dr. Dyer states, is called both good and God. We can choose for things other than just ourselves as well. When we do this, we can choose what we want to see taking place all around us right now. And I'm not saying that we walk around living in a state of positive toxicity, in an airy-fairy world where we ignore what's going on. I'm not saying that for a moment. I'm not saying that there aren't things that happen around us that, hurt people, or that aren't always seemingly for everybody's good. But we can begin to cause a shift. When one of us does, when just one of us begins to cause a shift, it causes a ripple. Imagine each one of us doing this, each one of us creating our own ripple. I think each one of those ripples are eventually going to meet and build quite the force. Thinking that the world or that the country is lost, holding in any feelings of hopelessness, envisioning us living in a world that's something we don't want to see. We don't, it's okay to hold on to that for just a minute, but let it go. Just let it go, because each one of us should be aware. And we should do what we feel we're called to do, however that looks for each one of us. But we should also continue to hold the high watch on a spiritual level. We should continue to live from the end. That end where this new state of consciousness is here. And we are following the GPS along the way, doing what we need to do on the journey. Because old ways don't always disappear so easily. You're always going to have people who want to hold on to it the way it used to be, or the way they think it should be. You're going to come across people who wish to use the Bible or God as a weapon to make others feel less than themselves, to justify horrific acts, or to mistreat people that they see as different. But you know differently. You know this isn't of God. You know this isn't of your higher self. And it's not of the higher selves for those who choose to do these things either. We sometimes forget that we're all in this oneness together. But it's such a wonderful feeling when we remember. Remember, you saw the end. No matter what's going on right now outside of the walls of where you're at right now, you saw the end. And you chose to be here. You chose to be here to help usher us to that end, to that glorious light that's at the end of this journey. Of course, the journey never really does end, but it does change. I look around right now and sometimes I feel like I've stepped back into a repeat of historical events that should have never been repeated. But what if some of these things are happening right now to usher in this new consciousness? And we get to be a part of that because we chose to be a part of that. Because you see, the consciousness is always ready. It's ready right now. It always has been. We just have to be willing to catch up to it. Namaste. And now we are going to get ready to go into meditation. So let's go ahead and begin now, whether you're in the sanctuary or whether you're at home. Just kind of start to become comfortable. Just relax your feet on the floor. Lay down on the floor if you want. Just become comfortable with where you are. And just take a moment to just allow yourself to breathe. This is a time when we can just let any worries, any tension, anything we brought with us into this moment go. This is the present moment. Anything that happens outside of this moment is not in this moment. This is the present moment. The only thing that is required is that we be here and we be here now. And we just breathe. And we just relax. We scan our bodies for any tension, maybe in the shoulders, in the chest, in the face, and we just make an agreement with ourselves to let it go, to be here, to be now. We just breathe. And if you're able, I invite you to try breathing just through the nose. If that's not comfortable, that's okay. But if you're able to do that, just breathe through the nose right now during this meditation. Just allowing the body to further relax. And as we move into this meditation, I invite you to remember something now that is happening in your life. Something that you're wishing or hoping would be over already. And just imagine what you want the end to look like. Maybe it's a healthier body. Maybe it's something different in the political realm. Maybe it's something different financially. Now, I invite you to think about how it would feel to be in that space. You're seeing the end result. How does it feel to you? Do you feel joyful? Do you feel jubilant? Do you feel healthier? So allow yourself to feel that for a moment. Just feeling that joy and that happiness. And now, I invite you to place your focus at your third eye chakra. It's in the center of your forehead between your eyebrows and just slightly above that, because this is where your imagination lives. So I invite you to really just place your focus there, just allowing that imagination to open. It's okay if nothing comes to you right now. We don't have to be able to solve, to know that navigational path at this time. But we're just opening that up just to allow ourselves to be receptive to it and to just activate that part of the body, that chakra. You may feel a tingling sensation there. You may feel nothing, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's not activating. I invite you now to start bringing your attention back into the room that you're in. And encourage you as you move through the time that you're navigating through, the time where you want to see a different result. I invite you to practice a meditation, even if it's only 2 minutes each day. Just practice a meditation where you just sit in a quiet room. You focus on that third eye chakra, your imagination, and you allow yourself to feel the feeling that you will feel at the end. And if you're a visual person, I invite you to also visualize what you hope to see at the end. Just kind of wait and see what really begins to unfold in your life, or see what different ideas might come to your mind. Don't write any of it off as a silly daydream. Just allow yourself to be open and to be receptive. Let's just take one deep final breath in this meditation. And exhale together. And know that so it is, and so we allow it to be. Namaste.
And we follow that wonderful meditation, wonderful talk of meditation, with going within in what is the deepest urge within us, is to connect with the spirit that we are. And that is really what prayer is. Prayer is simply a recognition of that connection to the infinite that is who we are. And so let us pray. We pray with recognition that the end is already within us. All the good that we yearn for within ourselves is who we are. So it is our recognition of that, not our achievement of it, that guides us forward. Our recognition that all that we seek for the best is already here. It's already who we are. And that leads to a confidence to move into daily life with the full recognition that we are led from within to do that which is the best, as an expression of that which we already are. And so we say, Amen. And we affirm together, Unity of Appleton is rich in mind and manifestation now. And so we are ready for our offering. Now we move from our prayer to our affirmation of prosperity. This is a time when those of us who feel Unity of Appleton is our spiritual home practice putting spirit first in our financial life. This practice prospers the spiritual community we love and supports our own spiritual growth and prosperity. Please give whatever spirit amount guides you to give, whether it is in person or electronically. Whatever that amount is, take that gift into your heart and bless it with your love. Feel free to bless the plate as it passes by. Let yourself feel grateful to God in you as your one source. Then please join in our affirmation of prosperity. Together, Unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of spirit in the flow of divine abundance and radiant with unlimited possibilities. And together we celebrate our giving and receiving, saying this affirmation: divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source.
I will be gentle with myself.
affirm these our gifts as our gentle way of moving ahead in life, knowing that all that these gifts represent, the good, is within us and is expressed in everything that we do and say as we go into the world, leading love into life. And now for announcements. Wondering what's going on at Unity of Appleton? There are so many places to look. Community connections in a newsletter every Monday morning, posted on Facebook and in your email, not on the mailing list. Ask Paige. Ooh, yes. Monthly events announcement posted in 7 different places in our building. Facebook, public, and community pages, our website, unityofappleton.org, Sunday announcements. Lots of stuff, isn't there? Lots of places to know about it. Workshop on Wednesdays. This booklet explores Jesus' surrender, gives Palm Sunday reflections and daily inspirations which will nurture your spiritual growth. This Unity publication will help you release what no longer serves you while making room for expansion. The facilitator is Emily, and the Wednesdays, April 23rd at 1 p.m. through April 23rd. Feast Day is scheduled for Saturday, September 13th. Not too early to put that on the calendar at Pierce Park in Appleton. Want to make our celebration a reality? Join the Feast Day community. Our first meeting is Friday, April 4th at 11:30 in the boardroom. Hope to see you there. That's this Friday. Our spring potluck is next Sunday, April 6th, right after the service. A wonderful time, wonderful gathering, wonderful food. A sign-up sheet is on the Connect and Serve table. And messages of the monarch. New book study starts soon. This study of Sherry Neal's book will start after the service Sunday, April 13th, facilitated by J. Keel. Please sign up at the Connect and Serve table. If anyone can stay to take down our March decorations after the service today, the help would be greatly appreciated. And let us gather together for the prayer